Do you want your blog posts or your articles to rank higher in Google search results? My name is Brian Collins, and using these SEO tips, you should be able to get more website traffic because these tips work for me. First up, look for low volume, low competition keywords. This basically describes keywords or phrases that people are typing into Google. The content that answers this query has to be really specific, and chances are the content that's already published isn't great. For example, let's say I'm launching a content website that's all about earphones. Well, a low volume, low competition keyword could be, are Apple AirPods waterproof? If I knew a lot about Apple AirPods, I could go ahead and write or commission this article. And because there's not many articles like this, chances are my article is more likely to stay on page 1 on Google. On the other hand, if I were to try and go after something much more competitive, like best earphones for running, I'm going to find it much harder to rank for these competitive keywords. My tool of choice for finding low volume, low competition keywords for which I can rank is Keyword Chef, and I also sometimes like Low Fruits. And best of all, these tools are much more affordable than expensive SEO tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush. Next up, review your on-page SEO. So typically, once I've identified a primary keyword, I like to make sure that this primary keyword or phrase is used in at least 3 places. If I'm writing it or editing it, I'll check that this keyword is mentioned in the headline, within the first 2 paragraphs, and also within the URL. Now, if I have a bit more time and perhaps the keyword is a little bit more competitive, I will include variations of that keyword in the body copy and in the subheads. But often, if there's not a lot of search volume or competition for the keyword or phrase, this is enough to rank. Now, you can use a good plugin to create a type of checklist before you press publish, which can help with this process too. My plugin of choice for WordPress websites is RankMath. Next up, write SEO friendly headlines. Remember when I said you want to make sure your primary keyword is included in the headline? Well, on mobile, headlines need to be shorter than they are on desktop. So with RankMath, you can actually preview how long your headlines will appear on a mobile device. Using this plugin, I've been able to identify when my SEO friendly headlines were too long, and I've been able to edit them down much easier. This is also good if you're working with a team member who's publishing content on your behalf. If you want to write SEO friendly headlines, you can take things one step further. I use RankMath and before that Yoast to create dynamic months and dates which I add to some of my posts. This works really well for posts that are regularly updated, for example reviews or product roundups. Next up, add internal links. Internal links are a quick and easy way of getting more Google traffic to posts on your site. But hey, let's face it, if you've got a lot of posts, adding internal links retroactively is a real chore. Now, I publish dozens of posts each week, and here's how I add my internal links quickly and easily. So I headed over to Link Whisper, which is a plugin for WordPress, and I installed it on my WordPress site. Then I was able to run a link report, and this presented me with a great helpful report of all of the orphan posts on my site. Orphan posts are basically posts with no internal links, and using Link Whisper I was able to add a lot of internal links at once at a click. I was also able to automate some of this process and outsource it to a team member. And once I started adding these internal links, the Google search bar was more easily able to crawl my site. Traffic for my content sites began to increase as a result. Bonus tip, if you're going to do any of this, consider recording what you're doing with Loom and then handing this off to a virtual assistant. This will free you up to work on some of the other SEO tips that I've mentioned in this video. Next up, build credibility on your site. The other day I was reading an article from the Google search team, and it basically described how every good content site needs to demonstrate experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. One great way to do this is to ensure your website or content site or blog looks like a traditional media company. What do I mean by media company? Well, if you head over to the New York Times or the Guardian, click on any article, you'll see that every article is attributed to a human with a bio, and that bio has information about the author and their contact details and social media profiles. In other words, it should be pretty apparent that this was written by a real person and not AI or ChatGPT. So here's what I did. First up, I updated the About Us page on my site and made sure that I had bios for each of the authors. Then I attributed each of the articles on my site to these authors. And finally, I headed over to Publish Press. Publish Press creates a great little plugin that you can use to manage the creation of author profiles on your site. And the author or bio box that appears at the bottom of articles looks pretty good too. This is a great way of ensuring your site meets the EAT criteria from Google. Next up, consider overhauling old posts. So I've well over 1,000 articles on one of my biggest sites and several hundred on some of my smaller sites. This means some of the content just goes stale or out of date, or let's face it, a competitor comes along, looks at my article and then says I'm going to write something better. Often it can be difficult to keep up my rankings for different articles on my site. So here's what I did. I headed over to Google Analytics and I found the most popular 50 articles over the past 90 days. Then I exported the results to Google Google Sheets inside of Google Analytics. And I went through each one of these articles and I figured out when they were last edited or updated. I asked myself, was the content old or out of date? Should I keep it or delete it? And in many cases, the content simply needed some updating and some additional information because things had moved on. And I was able to use this process to hand over the updating of old articles with an editor or another team member. Often adding new content to old existing articles is a great way of getting more value from content you've already invested money or time in. And it can be faster than commissioning something brand new. Use a content optimization tool. Earlier on I was talking about low volume, low competition keywords. Well, sometimes I like to target keywords that are more competitive because they're going to generate more revenue for the site. This means that the content really needs to be on point. This is when I'll turn to a good content optimization tool like Phrase or Surfer or Topic, or my current tool of choice, ClearScope. Oh, I have a video review of ClearScope on the channel, so check that out if you want to learn how to use it. These content optimization tools are great because they help me identify the keywords for competitive articles, and then they help me identify the key themes or topics that these articles need to address. Then I can give the link from the content optimization tool to a writer or team member, and they can make sure that the article includes all of these themes, topics, keywords, and key phrases. And best of all, these content optimization tools then score the final article. And once it's green or it gets near 100 out of 100, I know that the article is ready to publish. Now clearly there's no guarantee that the article is going to make it to page 1, position 1 in Google search results. But I found that if the article is important to me or my site, a content brief created with a content optimization tool is a key part of the process. Next up, iterate the top 10 posts on your site. So I headed back over to Google Analytics and I looked for the top 10 posts on my site. Once I'd identified them, I asked myself, was there any companion articles that I could create on the same topic? Because clearly, if my site was ranking for these particular terms or phrases, then Google recognized my site as an authority within this area. So I stood a far better chance of ranking for companion or child articles rather than commissioning something brand new about something else off topic. As an example, let's return to our content owner who's running a site about earphones and headphones. Well, let's say one of their articles about the best earphones for triathlon was ranking. Well, then perhaps they could consider commissioning child articles like the best earphones for swimming, or the best earphones for cycling, or the best earphones for hiking, and so on. And then they could use a low volume, low competition keyword tool like Keyword Chef or Low Fruits to identify companion Q&A articles. For example, is it safe to wear headphones while hiking? Often creating a hub of content around a specific theme or within a specific area is a great way of increasing your traffic. Finally, develop alternative traffic sources. If you're serious about growing a content website, chances are you're already attracting some traffic. Congratulations. But don't stop at search. I found I was publishing several dozen articles each week, so I applied for Google News. And to my great surprise, I was accepted. And now when somebody's looking for a news story about writing, there's a chance that one of my articles will appear in their newsfeed. And this has helped me increase my traffic and add revenue. If you're not quite ready to apply for Google News yet, you can still source alternative traffic. You could look at Facebook or Instagram or some of the other social media platforms, but I actually recommend growing your email list. Again, head back over to Google Analytics, look for your top 10 most popular posts, and consider creating bonus content for each one of these posts. It could be a template, it could be a checklist, it could even be a discount for some software that you're reviewing or promoting. Now set up a pop-up on your site that offers this bonus content. My tool of choice for doing this is ConvertBox, but any tool will do. Give away this free, valuable content to readers just before they're about to go. All they have to do is hand over their email and their name and click confirm. It's a win for them because they get some bonus, relevant content, and it's a win for you because you get to increase your email list and develop an alternative traffic source. Oh, and best of all, the Google search bot does like to see that websites are getting traffic from other sources, not just Google search results. So it's great if you're able to drive some of that from your email list.